So today I'm out here in the barn lot just working on a few things before winter sets in. It's nice now, but tomorrow it'll probably be 15 degrees. That's just how it works here in Indiana. And in doing so, one thing I want to do is tire slime this backhoe tire and air it back up. It's funny because this thing will sit all over the property all summer long and never have any leak downs. And then when you get the tire spun just the right way, it'll leak down. But as I'm working on this, I do want to show you guys a new product I have, or tool, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely one of those things that has its place, and I think we'll see a lot of use around here. First things first, let's get this thing up in the air so that I can get a little weight off this tire. She's a lot of work, but I love this whole thing. It smells amazing too. Let's grab a few materials while this thing warms up. Damn, this thing's heavy. Oh. She ain't purty, but she's sexy. It's like a tire from a cartoon show. It's flat on one side. So we'll pop this valve stem out of here. Pump as much slime into here as I can. That was not supposed to happen. Actually, while we're waiting for this to deflate, let's go ahead and talk about what I want to show you. So as I mentioned, this thing is often all over the property. Very rarely is it sitting right here by the barn. And in fact, the only reason it's sitting by the barn was because I knew that tire was going to leak down and I wanted to be close to electricity. In most cases, this thing will just kind of live wherever the job at hand is. So it'll be out by the pond or out by the berm or over in the woods. And it just kind of hangs out there because I don't put it in the barn. And on occasion, that tire will leak down like you saw right there. And it's a real pain in the backhoe to be able to get it full again. You got to take this generator and an air compressor with you out there in the field somewhere to air it up. And as you saw me carry this thing in, this generator is not exactly the easiest thing to move around. Which brings me to today's little product demo for you guys. The Bluetti Elite200 V2. This thing's pretty legit. We're going to talk a whole lot more about this in a little bit, but right now let's just get this tire aired up and see this thing work for a few. And yeah, it's fairly heavy. It's 50 or so pounds, but much more maneuverable than that generator there. All right, let's try this again. Where did I put the valve stem? There it is. I might just cache this whole thing. Now for the moment of truth. Can this little power pack run an air compressor? We all know that compressors have a really high startup draw, so we'll see if this is up to the task. And let it rock. That little thing just rocked that compressor. That's pretty awesome. All right, we got this thing full of air. I'm gonna start this up and let it do a few rotations here so I'll get it mixed up well. Then I have a couple more heavy duty tests for this thing. All right, hopefully that lasts a while. Let's run a few more tests. Proof that it is plugged in, but what do you think? Miter saw? Big ol' piece of rough cut 2x. Survey says nice. Ow. This will be a little bit more of a challenge, I think. I'll check the startup wattage on there too. The startup wattage on there came up to 2418. This unit's rated for 2600 watts, so had, you know, almost 200 watts of extra capacity, and once it got going, it settled down at like 800. All right, if it runs this planar, I will be truly impressed. It's on a 20 amp, 120 volt circuit here in the barn, and it sometimes gives that circuit all it can take, and that's what it's, you know, rated for, but we'll see. And if she does start up, we'll even plane this down here. So this side's been planed pretty nice and smooth, but look how rough that is. So you'll see it in action and we'll see if it actually works. All right, fingers crossed. There's no way. Man, I'm impressed. It's interesting. So on startup, that pulled like 1800 watts. That first pass, I took way too much, honestly. Too much of a plane on that first one there. But it was registering and it was pulling like 2700 watts. Now this is rated for 2600, and it has like a resistance mode where if you're doing like heated blankets or something, it can do, or hair dryers, curling irons, etc. Any kind of resistive load up to 3900. But it was showing 2710 on that first bite. So there's obviously some surge in here beyond the 2600. I'm impressed. All right, Adam, so you've already got 2 generators. You got that little blue one and your big one you were running the pump with at the pond. What's so cool about this? Why do you like it? So those tests weren't really to prove that this is better than those generators, more so that it has the same kind of power. It can actually produce the full 2600 watts and then some that it needs to. It can hang with those guys. I think what's cool about this is this would, in theory, replace an inverter generator. So like the little Hondas that are like $2,400 for a similar size one, this is effectively the same thing, but there's no gas. And if you've been with the channel for a while, you'll remember when Bluetti sent me this little guy here a while back. This one's rated at 600 watts. So nice to have, little hand tools here and there, some lights, but this is more for like, running your laptop for a little while if you need to, or charging some phones, or you name it, small appliances maybe. But this one has real utility. So yeah, you can do all those same things. You got the USB-C and USB-A charger ports here. You got a 12-volt barrel plug, but this is where it's at. 4 outlets here, 20 amp circuit. There's a breaker on the side here, rated for 2600 watts, and man, it delivers. One thing I wish they had on this unit that they don't is this one here has a wireless charging on top of it for like a cell phone. So if you're working around, you can just throw it up on top. With this one, for some reason they don't have it. I asked them why. They said they'd take it to their tech team, but who knows. Another interesting thought I had with this is that this here will actually fit in this bag well down here underneath the golf cart. In the late fall and winter and early spring, we put an enclosure on this thing and right around the property. Keeping the wind out does wonders, but it's also still a little cold. We have one of those little Mr. Heater propane heaters. Sits on a little 1-pound tank. Problem is that's like an open flame. We've got young kids who are in here with us a lot. So what I was thinking is we could put this in the bag well, and then we could run electric blankets off this. I'm sure my wife would love that. I actually happen to have a Northern Tool magazine on my golf cart because, well, self-respecting man doesn't. So let's just look here real quick. So that one's rated at 1800 watts, 22 surge for 1300 bucks. This one's 2800, 3000 surge, $2,400. Dang, it's expensive. There's some over here that are, call them off-brand. I think Honda's renowned to be one of the best when it comes to these inverter generators and probably producing the cleanest energy. And so you're looking at kind of a blend between these 2 or 3 here. Call it $1,500 at minimum. So even that one there is $1,300, but the next step up is $2,400. So not cheap. So links to the Bluetti website will be down below if you want to check them out. If I was in the market for an inverter generator, I'd be looking at this. I think what's cool about this is that A, it's silent, so you can use it virtually anywhere and not disrupt others. This can go in the floorboard of your car. You don't need a pickup truck to haul a generator that has gas and oil and the like. For example, an interesting use case for this is we were just at a fall party for my son about a month ago or so, and we were at this park where they had all these shelter houses, and they didn't have power at the park. And everyone brought, chili and crock pots and chicken wings and everything else. They have all these crock pots, but nothing to power them. And there was no lighting. And if you would have had this, you could have plugged all the crock pots into it. You could have put some string lights up and it in silent. So you'd have been able to hang out and socialize and work just well. Obviously there's the use cases of power outages. This is much better to plug, a laptop in, cell phone in, etc., than that generator over here. This is clean energy like an inverter would be. I do like that the handles are built into this like this. You could easily do a ratchet strap across this if you want to put it in the back of the golf cart, whatnot. One additional use case I just thought about today as I was reading the user manual actually. If you plug this into AC power and then you plug something in the front of this, it uses the AC power first. And so it's effectively a pass-through. It keeps it fully charged and it's a pass-through. And if the AC power dies for some reason, this immediately flips to using the battery bank and is effectively a battery backup. So my thought was, man, when you have a basement and you have, your battery backup sump pump or your main sump pump and the power goes out, you could use this as a battery backup for your sump pump in your basement and ensure that your primary sump pump always has power. Not really the biggest deal for us because we have a gravity drain on our house and our sump pump rarely runs. But if I didn't have that and my sump pump ran all the time, I can guarantee you that in addition to a battery backup sump pump, because I'm a belt and suspenders kind of guy, this will be hooked up to my primary sump pump all the time. That way, if for some reason the battery backup malfunctioned, my main one would still run. Really nice peace of mind. And again, like all these out there do, this has an app so you can control it from your phone. You can check in on it, see what kind of power it's been using. You can charge it AC or DC or Back in Black. Great song. You can charge it via solar. It doesn't come with a solar panel, but you can get those and add them on. But if you just want raw power, you don't care about it being clean, buy something like this. Or better yet, a Big Daddy like that. This is the perfect blend of a power bank like this, which is great, clean energy, just not big enough, and a generator like that, but you eliminate the gas, the noise, etc. It's got the power to get it done, but the clean energy you need, and you're still not dealing with gas. It's funny because if you look at the marketing for all these things, it's always like, use it for power outages, use it for camping, you know, go off grid, you charge it with solar and yada yada. I bet they never imagined that some redneck like me be like, I bet I can hook a planer up to this thing. That will not replace that generator or the one in my barn, because sometimes you just need a pump to run for 15 hours at a time, and that's not going to do it. But you can bet money the next time we have a potluck at a park, I'm showing up with this bad boy. All right, we'll see you guys next time. I've actually got to get some real work done instead of just chit-chatting with y'all all afternoon. Take care, guys.